Morning. We're out in the garden this morning. We intended to get out here before it got really hot, but we didn't make it. I'm scooting around on this ground cover, trying to get the weeds out around the peppers in the little holes. And I decided this year that I was going to put a little pine mulch on them. Try to keep the weeds down. The plants will go ahead and the weeds don't become a big problem around like the tomatoes and stuff. They are so far ahead of them that they're not really a problem. But these peppers are pretty small, so I thought I'd go ahead and try to get the weeds out of them anyway. And one of them, I don't know where it went now. Looks like he's fixing to bloom. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm not sure what the light looks like. It's real sunny out today. And we've got some little tomatoes on. Actually, I see several little tomatoes on. Here, there, and everywhere. Steve's over here re-sowing the beans that didn't come up the last time. The Romas. They're the ones that I can the most of. The most important garden crops that we consider important are the beans, the tomatoes, potatoes, and corn. If we have a success with those four things, then we're usually pretty happy. And cabbage. I do homemade sauerkraut, so we do like that too. But those five things, if we can have a good crop of those, then we're pretty happy. I'd like to get a good crop of winter squash this time. We really like butternut squash. We've never really had any luck growing any other kind of winter squash. We've had just a couple of acorn squash that made it through. So if we're going to try to get those out today. Even though we've got a lot of garden space out here, we're starting to run out of bare ground to fill up. I wanted to share these two gardening tools, new tools that we bought this year. I haven't really used this one a lot. It's called a Hula Hoe. It was pretty dull when it came. I ordered both of these from Amazon. Steve put an edge on it. It's really good for... And I like how it's rounded on the ends, so you can get up next to the plants and you don't have to worry about hitting the edge of the plant with the blade. Really, really nice tools. I don't even remember what the cost was. I'm pretty sure they both were under $20 a piece. This one here, this is probably my favorite so far. I can't remember what this is called. It was written in Japanese. It was from Japan. And I don't read Japanese, so... but it's also really good. This one was really sharp when it came. And I like the point on it because you can get up really close in to the stuff. And it's sharp from one edge to the other. So these are really handy for just getting the small weeds out, in tight spaces. Uh-oh, sorry, bean. And then every once in a while you have a casualty like that. These are my Contender Beans. A lot of them didn't come up. We'll just have these for fresh beans, just for eating. So I'm going to try to get the weeds out of them, because where we put them in between these ground covers, that the weeds will come up here in between them. And I may go between these, around these with this pine mulch. I think I probably will if I have enough. Steve's over here laying down more ground cover. We're going to put the Roma beans in between these two ground covers. And then, are you going to lay another row on the outside yet? Okay, then we're going to put my zinnias on that outside, over there on that outside edge there. I had a beautiful, beautiful row of zinnias in the garden last year, and I'm pretty well hooked on them. They're just gorgeous. They're pretty in the garden, and they're pretty to cut and take in the house. Very, very pretty flowers. Plus, the flowers are good for the garden. They bring in pollinators, they bring in the bees, and some flowers will actually keep bugs away. Marigolds are really good. We usually try to scatter a few of them out among the garden plants to help deter the bugs some. So if you've never grown zinnias, you really ought to give it a try. There's so many varieties out there anymore. They have mixed and produced so many varieties. They're just beautiful. They're just gorgeous. So you ought to give them a try. These young kids can't take the heat. I said we should have hardened him off in the tobacco patch. Got him used to the hot sun. Shouldn't we, Braden? Is it cooler over there? Yeah. Look at here at the little tomatoes. I think these are Berry's Crazy Cherries, I think. Here's another one that's got tomatoes on. There's one over there. And there's one over there. I don't know if you can see them or not. Won't be long now. I'll do a quick little shot of this asparagus that's gone to seed. Look at the seeds coming up on it. Plumb full. This is how your asparagus garden grows. Steve, how many did we originally put out here? So he says we put out 8 or 10 crowns, I think is what they call it. Probably about 10 years ago. And this is all the asparagus plants that we have in this.
It's definitely more than 8 or 10.
In this spot. We have a couple more spots. It's just small amounts. It's not really spread a lot. But this is our main asparagus garden here. There's a couple of smaller ones there that's lagging behind. I always like when the asparagus comes on because that means spring is here.
Yeah, this is everything.
A minute about gardening. Don't pay attention to my big floppy hat. I don't take the sun very well anymore. You'd think after working in it my whole life out here on the farm it wouldn't bother me, but it does. So I have to cover my head now, much as I hate it. But anyway, I just want to encourage everybody, if you don't have a garden, then plant in pots. You know, build you a small raised bed. I think we all have learned, especially since this pandemic, that growing your own food is really important. That we can't depend on this nation to supply us food. You just don't know what's going to happen. And it's really rewarding, not in just the things that you get from it, but also just from the joy of being out working in the sun and in the cool breeze. And Braden goes to the garden with us a lot, and so we're teaching him. You know, we're passing this on to the next generation. I've always said, if you know how to garden, you'll never get hungry. And it's a really important thing to teach your kids. It's good quality time to spend with your family doing this. You know, this time in the year, we don't spend a lot of time together because Steve works a lot of overtime. And what time we do spend together is generally spent in the garden. And yeah, it's hard work, and it's hot work, and it's dirty work, but it's rewarding. And you just never know. It feels really good at the end of the season to be able to have things put up in the freezer, in the jar. I dry a lot of my herbs, it feels really good to know that we have that to fall back on. I mean, I'm not saying I don't still buy a lot of groceries in the grocery store, because I do. But we still have that to fall back on. And I don't have to trust where my produce comes from and what's been put on it. I know what's been put on it. We don't put any chemicals on our gardens at all other than organic. We use an organic bug spray. We use diatomaceous earth. Sorry, something out here's made me sneeze. But we try to keep all the chemicals off of everything. We chop and we pull our weeds. We've started using the ground cover to keep weeds down. So we can be confident in what we have to eat and what we feed our family out of this garden. We can feel that they're eating safe food. And that really makes a difference. It really does. So if you've never tried to garden, just give it a try. Start small. You don't have to have a 2-acre plot of garden land. You know, just start small. Start in flower pots, or like I said, in a raised bed. A lot of farmers have those empty mineral tubs. We use those a lot. Just get you a couple of those and mix you in some dirt, if you can get dirt there where you live, and mix in some good potting soil or some good compost, and you'll be surprised what you can grow in just a small amount of space. I'll be glad to answer any questions. We're not professionals by any means. We've gardened a lot over the years, but we're still not professionals. I learn something new every season, just about every day in the garden season. I learn things new. So give it a try. You never know what you can come up with. I want to try one of my garlics to see what they look like. I don't know if they formed heads or bulbs on them yet. Cloves. I don't know if they formed the cloves yet. But we'll get one out of here, and I don't know if it's going to be very easy to get out or not. I didn't bring anything to dig with. I hadn't really planned on pulling the garlic. When I put my finger down in there to feel around it, it feels more like an onion. Let me see if I can work it out here. Okay. I don't know what the camera shot looked like of that, but I got one. And actually, it looks pretty good. It's not anywhere near ready. Of course, when you pull them, you have to let them dry. But I do see some cloves starting to form in there. I think this is going to be an awesome crop of garlic this time. So I'm excited to see what this is going to turn out to be. I think I'm also going to pull a few onions to take into the house. Again, I didn't bring anything to dig with, so we'll see if we can just pull them up. Yep, that was a success. They're looking really good. We'll leave the majority of them to grow as big as they can get, but I use the onions and I use the green tops both. But I'll only take a few because Steve won't eat them raw. He'll eat them cooked in things, but he won't eat them raw. So I don't want to pull too many and have them waste. And I think the ripe strawberries are getting ahead of the boys. They've been out here for a couple nights to get any, so looks like I'm going to have to pick a few of them, and they'll have to just eat them from a bowl in the house. Well, here we go. This is my little harvest today. I really probably shouldn't have picked these herbs in the heat of the afternoon, but I wanted to go ahead and get them because we've got to go back to the garden tonight when it cools down some. I got some rosemary and quite a bit of dill because it was going to seed. And I pulled one garlic bulb. I got some onions. I've got some basil here because it was starting to go to seed. And some cilantro. It was probably fixing to seed too It was pretty tall. And then a little harvest of strawberries. We're going to have some happy grandsons here in a little bit. So looky here. This is the garlic. I brought it in and trimmed it up. And we have cloves. We have, see how they're, look at there. This makes me really happy. So if we can leave this out there until July, sometime in July, and harvest. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? Look at the size of that clove. If we can leave this out and harvest in July, we're going to have an awesome garlic crop. I can still use this fresh. But what you normally do, you know when you buy garlic in the store, it's papery feeling. Well, that's because all of these layers that I peeled off here, these are the layers that'll end up being the skin. This will be that papery skin right here. So it's not like that now. It's more like peeling it. It's like an onion. They're soft. But that's because you have to dry it down. You have to let it cure, just like other things like that. Just like an onion. You know, the papery skin on an onion is because it's been dried and it's let cure some. But I'm really happy with this. Very happy with it. So try to grow you some garlic. Just go to the grocery store and pick up 2 or 3 heads of garlic and bring them home. Don't skin them, don't peel them. Just break them apart, separate them. You may have to take the first couple layers of that skin off, but break them apart into the cloves just like this. And take that little clove out there. You don't plant garlic until the fall. So October, I think, is when we plant ours. Take it out there, and the little part of the clove that's sticking up, which would be this part here, it'll be a little point on it. Just pop that down in the ground. You can cover it over. You can put dried leaves on it for a mulch for the winter, or you can put some kind of mulch over it and just let it set. And that's all you have to do is leave it there and harvest it. In our area, you harvest it around the 1st to middle of July. And then you can braid it. You can braid the long ends and make it like in a big long rope. Or you can just hang it up. You can hang 2 or 3, tie 2 or 3 of these together. I'm having trouble getting my words out today. 2 or 3 of these together and hang them up to dry somewhere where it's cool and dark. A dark, cool place is the best. So if you have a basement, that'd be perfect. And just let it dry. I mean, you can use off of it the whole time. You can just cut a bulb of garlic off when you need it. And that's all there is to growing your own garlic. Here's our strawberries for the day. I haven't got over to see if the boys are up yet from their nap. I'm anxious to see their eyes when they see this bowl full. We'll have to call and see if they're awake yet. And here are my herbs. They got a little droopy. I wasn't out there very long, but it's really hot today. So I put them in some cold water to kind of pep them back up. And I may keep some of them fresh on the counter for a little while. But most of them I'll probably go ahead and try to hang them up to dry. And I may get the dehydrator out and put the dill in it. I feel like it'll dry better in the dehydrator. So that's my first herb harvest of the year. This video has a lot of little random clips and random spots. But I wanted to show you a little bit of Steve's carrot bed. He sowed these carrots in January. There's some weeds around here that needs cut. I might try to do that here in just a few minutes. He sowed these carrots in January. As you know from previous videos, we've always had issues trying to grow carrots. I don't know what these are going to turn out to be, but right now they look really good. I see one over there, looks like it's fixed. Well, there's one actually already gone to seed, and there's another one over there that's going to seed. So I don't know if there's going to be any of the growth go into the carrot or if it's all going into the carrot tops. But just the same, they look really good, so we're anxious to see how these come out. Here's a little bit of extra garlic that he sowed. Just some little small cloves that I had in the house from last year's harvest that he stuck out here. This was actually the spot where our old chicken pen was, and they hadn't been here for a couple of years, and he tore all that out, and so it was a really good spot of soil to put this stuff in. Lots of good natural fertilizer. So hopefully he'll get some good carrots off of this. I'd love to be able to have some carrots to put up. And by the way, you can also eat carrot tops. I have dehydrated them and just keep them in a spice jar in the spice drawer. And I use them for flavoring in soups or stews or something like that. So if you happen to get carrots that have the tops still attached, don't throw those tops away. You can use them. Hey, we're done for the night. It's starting to get dark and we're tired. It's been a long day. We didn't get as much done as we wanted to today, but we still got quite a bit done, so we're happy with that. If we keep pecking at it, I guess we'll eventually get it. Steve got some more hay. He got hay raked up, hoping to bale it tomorrow night or roll it. And we got some quite a few Roma beans out. We got some winter squash and some flowers. I got all the most of the flower seeds out in the garden that I wanted to get out. And we got more ground cover down. And I think that was it. I think that's all we got. So we've had a great day here, and we hope you had a great day wherever you're at. And we hope you'll come back and see us soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share our videos with your friends. And have a great day. God bless.